Well,
Well,
welcome. Hey,
welcome.
how
Good
you doing,
morning.
Andrea? Hey,
Hey, how are you?
good, good. How are you today?
Doing great. Beautiful day here. Weather is getting hotter, but it's still we're lucky. It's still in the 80s compared to what Vegas in 100 maybe.
Yes, yes. Vegas is really unforgiving right about now. It's a little early to already be at this heat level. Normally it's not till
Yeah.
July, August. But we're having an early creep over. And so I've seen temperatures as high as 113 on the car, dial, like,
Ooh,
oh my
wow.
goodness,
Yeah, you need to stay
because keep us
warm. You need to
alive.
stay cool. One of those casinos. Those are great escapes right there.
Yeah, I guess. I just really have been honest is that I don't like the casinos. I don't like being in the casinos, but I guess they maintain them really comfortably for sure.
Mhm. For a walk, right?
Absolutely, a great cool place to walk. This is true. Now that is a great, great
Right.
opportunity. Beautiful, beautiful miles of walking in cool, air-conditioned environments for sure. Well,
Um,
everyone, welcome to Wealth Doctors. I'm Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, and with me is Dr. Andrea Lee. And today we have an exciting topic. I'll let Andrea tell you about it, but we're so happy that you joined us today. And if you are out there, please definitely engage, share your comments. We're happy to interact and tell us about our exciting topic for today.
well, we are, a lot of people are going to retirement, and there are a lot of things to consider, but there are 10 mistakes that, major one that we want to avoid going to retirement years. What are those, and how do we remedy those 10 mistakes or have ways to counter that to prepare ourselves going to retirement years and having a comfortable retirement, right? Not only retire, but retire with something.
Absolutely. And it seems that people, of course, we're living longer in many cases.
Mhm.
Sometimes the health concerns increase. And along with those increases of health concerns, then certainly that can be a tax on resources if you have an unanticipated wellness or a medical condition. Sometimes that is one of the areas that people find themselves a bit vulnerable, an unexpected
Mhm.
illness or unexpected death or something to that nature. So definitely considering all of the possibilities so that you can have an active plan is important. So what's number one?
One of the most important one is not having a financial plan. A lot of people, we go to school, we graduate, and we started working, we get married, and we go to work and busy, and then when we have time we just relax it a little bit, but sometimes we ignore to have a financial plan in place to navigate through finances and have to maximize and making the hard-earned dollar put it at work for you. So failing to create a detailed plan can cost you in the long run. So it's good to prepare in advance, your expenses, your lifestyles, and changes now and going toward retirement. So those are the potential, things that you need to account, especially when you have insufficient funds during the retirement years, and that can be detrimental because you don't want to go back to work once you retire, right? I mean, once you step into retirement, you want to have a comfortable retirement and also have the ability to do whatever you want and not having to go back to the workforce and start working again because things we have to worry about like bills and mortgage and all of that. So creating a financial plan is crucial, very important to have. It's just like when you go out to the sea, if you have no map, no destination, your ship potentially can be sink at sea, right? if there is a storm in the way or something like that. So it is good to have something in place. And if you don't have a plan in place, consider, reach out to a financial planner, um, to help you create one. Any stage in life, even the earlier is the better. That way you have more time to fix and update and make changes, and allocate your fund to the area that most important for you.
And, it's the same thing with your business. If you have a business, you want to have a succession plan or at
Mhm.
least an exit strategy. And a lot of times, what I'm seeing is, again, a lack of planning for that type of transition. If you've worked and run a business, or as I like to say, if you're a solopreneur and you created a
Mhm.
lifestyle business in particular, those are important ventures to figure out how you can create some type of exit value. Your value is realized when you're able to monetize an exit, meaning that someone else decides to pay a price,
Mhm.
a X value on your revenues for that business to continue it, which means that you would need to, if you have not structured a legal entity, you'd want to do that earlier than later. That would increase the value. You'd want to make sure that your processes and systems are updated so that acquisition and transfer of the business and assets is feasible and something that someone can do. If someone has to buy your business and recreate its working and functions,
Mhm.
the cost is usually reduced. So they'll buy it, if you will, at a breakup value rather than buying it as an ongoing concern, because perhaps there's a lot of things that maybe were done because that was how the owners decided to do them, but are not necessarily standardized processes if you were benchmarking against other businesses within that sector. So those are things to consider as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching right now, anybody watching right now, please just send us a heart or a like. We would appreciate it. We're talking about financial planning, and not having a plan can cost you a lot down the road. We're talking about insufficient savings and higher debts, poor investment decisions, unprepared for emergencies, or missed tax optimizations. So those are the things that you want to consider to work into your plan. And having adequate insurance also is important to incorporate into your plan, and basically, get the protection that you need for you, for yourself, and your business. What's the next one that you think is, on the list that we should avoid going into retirement years?
Yeah, it seems that earl managing spending, because a lot of times when you're working, you just get into autopilot where you're just spending. And I know that it's so easy to do when you have different subscriptions set up on automatic payment, and oftentimes you forget about some of the things that you
I'm
have
guilty of that.
on
I
other.
have subscriptions out there that I'm paying and not even using it, and it
Yes.
costs a lot, right?
Absolutely. And so the cumulative impact of those dollars, it may seem innocent in the beginning, but before you know it, you're spending thousands of dollars a year on things that you're not really consuming just because you kind of forgot about it. But they're set up. That's why the business model of subscription is so valued, is because they bank on the fact that most people forget. And that allows them to continue their revenue stream,
Right.
the organizations that have you signed up for a subscription. And I was actually trying to cancel a subscription, and I noticed that they make it very difficult for you to find and cancel a subscription in some of
Right.
these programs, because even I
You
signed
have
up
to
with
look around really hard to
oh my
find
goodness.
a button to cancel. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so again, that's why. So I said, "Oh my goodness, there was a product that I purchased that I tried it once. I don't want to purchase it again." And then I realized I received a notice that they're sending out another bottle, and I said, "There is no way that I signed up for a subscription on this product. I just wanted to try it the first time." No. and then they have the next 4. And I'm telling you, I spent so much time, and I have to call and get a live person to cancel because there is no way to cancel this particular subscription. I said, that's ridiculous.
Talking about subscription, watch out for those annual auto renewal,
Yes,
because you didn't want it, but it's automatically renewed. And then you call in the next day and they said, no, it's already renewed. You can
yes,
cancel the next year. So
exactly.
be very careful. I mean, all of those annual automatic renew can be costly over time. Most of the ones that are important point that we want to touch on is not having a clear budget. So not creating a clear budget for yourself, you can overspend, especially when you in the younger years. You make money and you think you have a long time to save for your retirement, and we just spend more than what we make, right? We make $10 and we spend $20. Sometimes it goes into the credit card debt. So plan for regular expenses, healthcare costs, and leisure activities. So set aside money that in each category, and just for vacation. If you plan to go on a vacation, so you have a bucket of money for vacation. So just plan for that, and also a bucket of money for emergency fund, a bucket of money for protection and saving for retirements. So make sure we have that set up at early on. Early is better, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely true.
And then the next point that we want to touch on is ignoring inflation. That's one of the biggest mistakes as well, ignoring inflation.
But I think inflation is tricky because right
Mhm.
now, when we're in a hyperinflated environment, right now people notice the impact of inflation because it's leaped so far ahead, and you can feel the constraints. I was talking to someone about the movement of money
Mhm.
from parties. The movement has been slowed down, so everyone in a cycle is having to wait longer for their resources, that then allows them to pay the next person along their cycle. And I just said, wow, I'm noticing a slowdown, but so at the same time I'm noticing an increase, because then all of those recipients are needing a larger sum to catch up for the gap that they had to sustain without the fluidity, of a faster pace moving set of, dollars flowing in and out of their organizations or out of their personal existence in space. So right now we notice how much inflation has happened because it seems like it was a super boost. Everything's more expensive and people can tell,
Since the pandemic, right? I mean, between January of 2020 to May 2024, the inflation rose 21.75%. That
insane.
is huge.
Yeah,
But I think it's much more than that. I mean, considering back then, before the pandemic, when you go to, go to Costco or a grocery, $100 can buy you quite a bit of grocery. Now, $100, you only can get a few items. So
absolutely.
the purchasing power definitely, going down. So when you consider saving for yourself, account that into your inflation into your plan also, because $100 now may worth $70 down the road, 10-15 years or more from now. It can cost, I mean, it can worth a lot less. So when you plan for retirement, just if you save it in a bank account, that probably won't beat inflation. So
Oh, it
consider.
doesn't beat inflation. You're not saving in a bank account. If you have your money in a bank account, you're
You
losing money
barely make anything, right?
daily. That is a fail with a capital F. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's
I don't
sitting in
know
the
if
bank
people,
account. You're losing money every day, every day, every day.
you get what, 0.001% interest. And I'm
You're
not
not.
sure if that's
Yes.
going to beat anything.
It's not. It's ridiculous. Literally, imagine your every day that $100 has reduced its value.
Uh,
It's sad.
that is right. Anybody out there watching right now, please just drop us a comment or give us a like or send us a heart. We would appreciate you. Thank you so much. We are talking about 10 mistakes to avoid going into retirement years. So our third point was inflation, and that is something I feel like 21% over the course of 4 years, but I feel like it's more, maybe 40%. We feel like 40, 50%, right? So plan that into your budget. Also, when you go into retirement, we're talking about 20, 30, years from now. So that purchasing power is going down with that $100 that you have. So consider a plan, talk to your financial advisor or a financial planner how to grow your hard-earned money, how to make it more powerful, instead of put it in the bank savings or uh, under the pillow.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Under the pillow. Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
I understand. I mean, there are people out there that don't trust the banking
Yeah.
system, the
Yeah.
investing. I totally get it.
Right.
We should have emergency funds set up, but you want to grow your money while you can. Too much risk. I mean, risk is good. That helped you to increase your asset, but too much risk is not good. So it's a way to find a balance for that. The fourth point that we want to talk about is the uh, underestimating healthcare costs,
Yeah.
right? Right now, I mean, healthcare is already high, but down the road, technology improve, healthcare expenses going up, long-term care costs can drain your savings, your
Oh,
retirement
absolutely.
savings,
Did
right?
you hear there was a new drug that the FDA just approved for Alzheimer's as
Mhm.
we go into, retirement? I think it's 2028 where another 76 million boomers turn 65.
Mhm.
Something like that. It's either 2020, I think it's 2028 or 2030.
Yeah.
But anyway, 76 million boomers turn 65. But Alzheimer's, this new FDA just approved this drug, and they say that the estimated cost for a year prescription of the drug is
Mhm.
about 30 something $1,000.
Wow. And especially if you don't have insurance, or
Oh, it could probably be
insurance
double.
with high deductible or high
Yeah.
cost, that's still a lot out of pocket because, I've seen a lot of patients that go into the pharmacy and pay for their medications with high deductibles. Sometimes they have several thousand of deductibles that need to be met before the
Mhm.
insurance pay, all of it or a partial part of it.
Mhm.
So account that into your planning as well, especially for prescriptions, chronic long-term, chronic conditions and all of those like long-term care costs can affect your budget. And do you know that healthcare costs is the number one cause of bankruptcy in America for
I believe
American
it.
families?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
62% of the 2 million personal bankruptcy cases filed each year are a result of medical costs.
Yeah.
So that's a huge amount that a lot of people are facing overwhelming, medical costs, medical bills that they cannot possibly afford. So plan that into your retirement years as well for that to budget that because once you're in the retirement years, you do not want to use your life saving just for medical costs only, and sometimes it's hard to avoid, right?
Absolutely. And the reality is if you want to have opportunities to have other kind of gap solutions,
Mhm.
riders that give you long-term care, give you chronic care support, remember you have to secure those types of policies while you're healthy. by the time you have already received a prognosis of a condition, it's too late.
Too late. They won't
So,
sell it to
so
you.
it's very
Right.
important to plan for the possibility of these things and recognizing really, your lifestyle habits and behaviors, and know where you potentially have gaps so that you can properly put some things in place. Nothing is about a judgment. I find what's really interesting as I've been speaking more and more, with people, especially about their wellness, about longevity, and just things that tend to be part of the journey. I was speaking to a younger lady yesterday, and she began the conversation with, well, I'm going into, the change, the middle change, and all of these things. And, she started sharing a few, kind of concerns. And I was saying, there's such a huge difference when you are blessed with health.
Mhm.
But to be blessed with health, you have to make deliberate lifestyle changes as well as prepare for uncertainties, because there's uncertainties that still happen. You can be healthy and you can experience some type of accident that, again, that's what it is. It's
It
an
can
accident.
happen anytime.
Exactly.
Yeah. And to
Anytime.
anyone, right? Yeah.
Anyone. So just because, you're healthy over here doesn't mean that you're protected across all possibilities. And so that's where you want to anticipate some of the things that seem to be pretty common because they're predicted. Actuaries are able to say that typically between these particular years of your life, your probability of, all of these sort of occurrences increases dramatically. And so, but how you plan to address them is what's the
Mhm.
difference between if you're going to survive the impacts of any of those unforeseen circumstances. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. And especially when we look at some of the vehicles and tools that are available,
Mhm.
where they're not punitive, meaning that if I just happen to save extra resources and I don't need them, then that means that I still have those resources available for some other use. And that's a
Right.
win.
So, that's lead us on the point of not having long-term care insurance. So, the long-term care costs is tremendous. Depend on the setting. If you've been care at home or at the facility, and depend on the level of care, it can cost anywhere from 9,000 to 16,000 a month. So that can deplete your lifetime saving going into retirement if you do not plan for it right now while you have the health for it. And not a lot of people don't know that, health insurance, or I'm sorry, life insurance now have the living benefits, chronic illness, critical illness, terminal illness. Chronic is similar to a long-term care. It help you to access the money early while you're still living, to care for yourself or to care for your loved ones. So it's good to have that plan that in advance, because while you're healthy, you still can qualify for it. And once you get, hit with a major illness, you may no longer qualify for it. So plan that in advance. And life insurance, some people think life insurance is expensive and it's a cost, but think about it. Life insurance nowadays has so many benefits, especially if you don't have a budget for it. Consider get a term policy, and
Mhm.
not our term created equal. So make sure you get a term that has a living benefits that protect you as well. A term can last anywhere from 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, but it gives you the protection for your family, for yourself, and also living benefits that protect you in event of chronic long-term care that you need,
Mhm.
that you no longer you get very very sick, that no longer can work. You need someone to take care of you, like feeding, dressing, eating, toileting, all of those basic activities that you cannot carry out by yourself. You need to hire someone, you need to have a family member care for yourself. That is a huge cost, because if you imagine, if your family, if you have a husband or wife and they stay home to take care of you, that is a loss of one income, right? I mean, two income. Now you're staying home and then your husband or your spouse staying home to take care of you. So if we're not planning that in advance, that can be a big major financial difficulty that you have to go through to to get the help. So consider look out for insurance, long-term care insurance, life insurance, or term policy insurance with the living benefits. Highly encourage it. So if you don't know what one, reach out to your agent, reach out to your financial planner. They have these in place that can help you to navigate through what type of insurance is right for you.
And not only for you again as an individual, but also look at what's available for your business. If you have a business,
Exactly.
it's important to
Mhm.
make sure that you think about what options are available around key man policies, buy sell agreements, if you have partnerships that you need to consider in terms of the untimely death or illness of yourself or a partner, and how that impacts the business and the need to bring in additional new talent. Again, these things happen all the time. You are in a partnership and you don't want to be in business with the family members. So you want to make sure that you have a way to exit the partner's interest so that their benefactors can receive, what they are due, but also so that you have the resources to continue on with the business or practice and replace that talent so that your business can sustain itself. Or if it's your family that needs to be exited from a venture as well. Planning again, ways are important to have these things, and then also some of these strategies for a business allow you to mitigate some of your tax liability, so you also are able to prepare for other resources that the organization might need to call upon.
That is right. I mean, consider protect yourself and your business by looking into insurance, life insurance, to protect your business, especially if you're no longer there to carry on or having leaving a legacy for your family. The next point that we want to touch on is relying solely on Social Security. That is one of the mistakes. A lot of people go into retirement and thinking Social Security is enough for them. That is all they need for retirement. But in reality, it's not, because Social Security only account maybe about 30% of the income that you can potentially have compared to what you're making right now for retirement years. And that may not be enough to maintain a the same living standard, right? On average, if they say if you're making 100,000 right now, say 100, and when you go into retirement, you can take off about 15%, which is you can live comfortably at $85,000. But if it's much more or less than that, it may affect your quality of living, to have a comfortable retirement, and not having enough fun for it. So they were talking about. Have you heard
And
of?
with inflation, don't forget, we've already talked about inflation, that the dollars are not the same dollars. So even, factoring in the inflation, and how much more you need. So to get the $85,000, even though you might be able to survive at 15% less, you still need to account for, you might need 20% more, just to address the fact
That
that,
is true.
the dollars will not
Yeah.
have the same buying power
Mhm.
because of the inflation. So, it's a lot to consider. And, none of us know exactly how to hedge that bet. And none of us know exactly what the tax liabilities will be. But some of the things that we have heard is that the Social Security, if you will, balances an ability to cover all of those who are moving into a space of need, that demand, that there are significant shortfalls. So it is not the most sustainable thought to consider that Social Security will be your solution
Main
as
source.
you
Yeah.
continue to age, for your sustainability. Even if you had property and real estate that you own free and clear, your property will still be subject to property taxes. And
Mhm.
if there's an area that new development is sparked, then the property taxes will be increased.
Mhm.
There's always going to be utilities and resources that are expenses with maintaining your estate. So you just have to think about all of those additional factors, and then everything that you have, be it a paid off car and all of those things, they all still require maintenance. So
Right.
there are still ongoing expenses. Even if you say that I'm living so-called free and clear, there's still expenses that you're incurring to continue.
That is true. One of the it was in the news that they've been talking about 2035.
Mm.
There is a shortfalls in Social Security benefit. If the budget, if with based on the new projection, the reserve can be gone by 2035. 2035. So the Social Security benefit can be cut by 21% in that year, and it's going to be based on like a yeah, it doesn't mean the Social Security payment would end, but it would be funded each year based on the payroll taxes.
Mm.
So potentially it can be cut down, 15 to 21% or so. So account that into your retirement years, especially if you are going to be retired for the next 10 years. Consider that cut and work into your planning in advance so that you can have extra budget or extra money for that gap that you going to miss from the Social Security benefits by cutting 21%. So that's a huge amount, right? I mean, we're talking about, you instead of getting $2,000 a month, you are getting only 1,600, right?
That's
That's
significant. And knowing that, again, that 1600 is not even going as far as, what you would expect $1,600, where it would go. I mean, these days, I know in California, it's like you can't live any place, hardly. If there are any places that you could live for, even just rent at 1600, it's such an
rent
expensive.
alone one bedroom is 15, 1,600, or even 2,000.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
security
yeah,
check won't be enough to cover that rent, that
right.
mortgage. Yeah. Oh, wow. We are out of time. Thank you for joining us today. If you're watching this, please just, thumbs up or send us some love, drop us a heart. We appreciate your presence and hope you found this session helpful. And we go live here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Please join us next week. Until then, and we encourage you to take care of yourself. And if you have a plan in place, consider reviewing it, update it to make sure it's the best plan out there. And if you don't have one and don't know where to start, please reach out to your financial planner or reach out to us if you have any question. We can help you along the way. Thank you so much and have the most wonderful day.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week.